Hello everyone, welcome to this Insta Live. We'll just wait for a few more people to join in and we'll start shortly. Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
A very warm welcome to this Insta Live. And let me just welcome all our viewers. Thank you so much for joining in for this call on holistic healing approach towards PCOS. And with me, I have Dr. Urmi Thakur, who is a doctor and an integrative medicine practitioner, a shamanic healer, who's going to be talking a lot about insights into PCOS. So, welcome, Urmi, and tell us a little more about yourself.
Yeah, hi Gitika, thank you for that intro. And yes, while I was doing my practice, my pathology practice, I remember sitting on my chair as a lab head and talking to patients and explaining them the reports. And that was the time when I thought, what more can I add to their life? What more? अच्छा उनको ट्रीटमेंट तो मिल जाएगा मैं और क्या कर सकती हूँ एंड दैट्स हाउ दैट क्वेस्ट started building up and it led from one thing to another and now what I have what when I studied it was like there was one way that is the modern medicine allopathy where it has its own role especially in emergencies and all but when it comes to treating the root cause or treating the lifestyle diseases or treating the what do you say chronic diseases it has its own limitations and there is another set of mind where there is a holistic approach where you approach through your mindset your emotion release and so many other things which we will talk about later. So I thought best thing that works for a patient is when we bridge this gap, when we integrate all the best parts of it and give the best possible healthcare to our patients and to our clients. So that is how I became integrative medicine practitioner.
Yeah, it is so wonderful to see doctors who, can bring best of both worlds to this
Yeah.
work, and it is, I think, so powerful and life transforming. And my own journey also has been, so when we're talking about being feminine, masculine, so my journey was also similar that I was always a lot into the masculine mode growing up, which is very common in our society. All girls, we feel that, we have to be more competitive, we have to have those traits that, of being a man to be able to succeed in life. I was always very competitive and being two sisters, so of course, it was always the thing to be the boy of the house, all of those things are always there. And because of that, I personally felt a lot of imbalance in my life. There were a lot of health issues that I struggled with, and I was successful outside, whether it was the corporate world or my college education, everywhere, but internally I was very unhappy. And that is what led me to discover, okay, what is really going on, why is this problem, these imbalances happening? And that's what really helped me come to this work. And so let's today talk about one of the diseases or health issues or lifestyle health challenge, PCOS, which has become so rampant, and the rate with which it is increasing, it is unbelievable. So would you like to share a little bit about that?
Sure. So there are different articles, and earlier when we studied, it was the incidence was around 6%, 10%. But now, even in urban and rural population, what we see that the incidence of PCOS, that is polycystic ovarian syndrome, has gone up to 20 to 30%. And it is a lifestyle disorder, and it is basically a hormonal imbalance. So it is not a disease as say, but it is a syndrome where there is a lot of imbalance of hormones, and it is treatable, and there is lot of taboo associated with it, which
Mm-hmm.
we need to clear around. So there are a
Mm-hmm.
lot of myths going on, and people, there's a lot of there are a lot of treatment modalities available, and people are confused what to do, when to do, and what are the approach. So I thought let's select this as a topic where you can approach it with a completely different angle and completely new angle. So
Yeah.
basically, yeah. So what is PCOS? When so okay, so I have interacted with many gynecologists, many dermatologists, many endocrinologists. So when I am talking, I am talking with a sum of their practices, their experiences, and their articles as well. So there's a criteria, that is Rotterdam criteria, where the woman has polycystic ovary. So there are very small cysts. So it is not something, it is a very big cyst. ऐसे कुछ नहीं, it can be very small multiple cysts. There
Mm-hmm.
are irregular menses, and there is hyperandrogenism. So hyperandrogenism means there is hirsutism, that is male pattern of hair and excess hair, and there is obesity, and I think that is the main thing. There are other things
Mm-hmm.
as well. So there is lot of hormonal imbalance that is going on. There is insulin resistance and so many other things where you need to see what exactly is happening, and clinically you come to know what is happening with the women. So it is definitely related to stress. It is definitely related to sedentary lifestyle. This is definitely related to the food that we eat, the way that we eat. So we'll get into it one by one.
Hmm.
So let's understand first. Yeah.
So that's lovely. So would you want to talk a little more about the medical aspect of it or the psychosomatic aspect of it?
Okay, so I'll touch on both of them. So
Hmm.
coming to the medical aspects of it, there are anovulatory cycles where in there the patient has so many other infertility issues. Another thing that the patient has a lot of skin issues. So many a times when they show up, the thing that is bothering them is I have a lot of acne. I have a lot of hair on my face. That is bothering them, and the irregular menses that are happening, the hormonal imbalance, that is not bothering them at that point. Many of them come with that taboo.
Right, right,
So
right.
yeah, so going into the lab investigations, I'm not going into a detailed part of it because it is a very complex cycle of the hormones, increase in FSH, and I'm not going into details of it. The purpose of this is to focus on the treatment and focus on what are the avenues available.
Hmm. So
Yeah,
what are
can
the
you hear
key
my voice? Can you hear
Yes,
my
I can
voice?
hear you. Yes, I can hear you. So what are the key symptoms that you can share?
Key symptoms are, first of all, is irregular menses.
Mm-hmm.
Irregular means less than 9 cycles or more than 35 days.
Mm-hmm.
Then next is hyperandrogenism symptoms. That is excessive facial hair. There is obesity. There is uh, there are many other things that are like polycystic ovarian. Because these present with these features, and then with investigations, they understand that okay, there is underlying hormonal imbalance. Then they go for sonography and understand that there are ruptured cysts. So
And what
basically, these are the main things.
what I've noticed is every person is presented with different ways it, represents itself, or the symptoms they come up is very different for every woman.
Yeah. So there can be other minor, not minor criteria. These are the major criteria. There are other things like anxiety, oligomenorrhea, mood swings, depression, and many other loss of mood. There are many other criteria as well, but these three are the major ones.
Right. So that's really wonderful to know. And so I have been working with a lot of women who have been, living with PCOS. And so the interesting thing that I've been noticing around in our society, so there's a lot of talk about how it has to be managed through lifestyle changes, your food habits, your exercise, weight loss. But one thing that I find missing in these discussions is the psychosomatic causes behind it, not just the effect. So we understand that it leads to mood swings, it leads to depression, but nowhere it talks about that what is the mental emotional causes that lead to it. So I've personally been very curious about the fact that it is said that it is caused by hormonal imbalance, PCOS, but medical science cannot explain that what causes that hormonal imbalance. And that is where the psychosomatic aspect steps in, that it is through our mental and emotional patterns, thought patterns, the emotions that we've been storing inside us for very long, which leads to accumulation of that, which impacts our physical body as well, our organs, our endocrine system, which leads to different hormonal imbalances, which then lead to. So we are working at the symptom, not the actual cause, if you look at it. So I would love to hear your views on the psychosomatic aspect of it.
Yes. So it is a subject of research and skin ortho and other have come up with major cause is holding on to thought, especially from men, validating yourself, not trusting your intuition. There is low self-esteem. So when I say low self-esteem, we don't have healthy boundaries. We cannot say no. We cannot ask for what we want. And there is a belief that feminine is weak. So that causes a lot of information that I should not be like this. I think that is a key factor that I believe that feminine is weak. So by nature we are very sensitive, we are caring, but all this gets in all the competitive world. We are supposed to do certain things in certain way, and women is considered as a weaker sex.
Yes. To add to this,
my voice is echoing. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, is it better now?
Hello, is it better now? I have no idea what it is. Hello? Yeah. So one more thing that we have
to add to this, when you said this, it brought on a lot of things, because even I was a tomboy growing up. I was not at all comfortable being a girl, especially all those things about, like pink color. Do you remember, as in school, there was so much taboo around pink color, that, oh my God, if you're wearing pink, you're so girly. I mean, being girly was something which was looked down upon. And it was so shocking. And most of the girls, even today, they feel this need to be tomboyish. And that is something considered cooler. And that is where the seeds of this imbalance start getting sown.
Yeah. One more thing now it's fine. So one more thing, what we have seen is, the belief, coming to your thing that, body image. And body image is a completely different topic where we will we will do another session on it, because body image is what we struggle with, and women with PCOS have a lot of issues with body, especially because of hyperandrogenism. They might have a little bit of acanthosis nigricans, that is blackening of certain skin areas. So that is again body image issues. Again, that is again invalidating yourself. Another thing is the propensity to worry about everyone and everything. Just a typical. I know it's very common, but that is the way we are brought up to think about everyone. To put
it's so
yeah,
ingrained in women.
yeah. So these are the basic psychosomatic causes, basic psychosomatic reasons where we are invalidating ourselves on different levels. First is on body level, another is on emotional level, third is, speaking our way out. So we also have thyroid issues, thyroid hormonal imbalances in PCOS because we're not able to speak out. So that emotions get stored, and then again it leads to the chaos. So what we need to understand is we need to break this cycle of stress factors of the psychosomatic causes that lead to the PCOS, and this which leads again to this. So it becomes a very vicious cycle, and somewhere we need to break that pattern.
Absolutely. And I have personally noticed, in my work with the clients, when I work on health issues, not just PCOS, but all different health issues as well. So for example, IBS is another very common health issue, which is, related with intestine. So it's very interesting to know that, so there is this whole womb circuit that we have in our abdomen. So our vagina, ovaries, intestines, all of them, they form a part of this womb circuit. And this is the seat of our emotions. So all of those emotions like hurt, anger, sadness, pain, rejection, invalidation, they get stored. And all of these things happen at a very unconscious level that many times we can't even identify. We're so used to these things that we don't notice that, oh, I am feeling hurt. Because we have a tendency to either, brush it under the carpet or it's okay, just forget it, whatever.
Yeah, so brushing under the carpet reminds me of PMS. Even when women have PMS, that is something very natural, and it can be dealt with some other ways. We'll come to it in the treatment part, but yes, that happens where you are feeling uncomfortable about something, some emotion is coming up, something is coming up, and we are just tending to brush it away and going on with our life. We just want to run. We have a list of things to do where we are running from office to house to groceries to children, and there are n number of things we are running, and all these emotions are getting brushed away. And
girls nowadays, if there's something bothering, not just girls, actually it's everyone, boys, girls, men, women, everyone. We will tend to distract ourselves in Netflix or our office work or household work, but we will not deal with what's bothering us. Because dealing with our emotions is something that we've never really been taught how to, to actually manage our emotions, which is, if we learn how to manage our emotions, 90% of the health issues will stop to, affect us. Because I have noticed in some of the, when I was working with different clients using these techniques, I have noticed sometimes the health issue or acute pain like cervical neck pain, IBS, they completely go away, even just in that session itself.
Yeah.
Because that is how strong the psychosomatic linkage to health issues is. And when you start doing this very frequently and you start practicing it, you don't even need to go to a therapist, or you don't even need to practice things. You can just start listening to your body. That in itself will help you, completely come out of any pain or health issue that you're facing.
Yeah, that's the best part, that we can learn those skills and apply and work on ourselves. We don't need to go to a therapist every single time.
Yeah,
so that's a very important thing that you said.
Yeah, medical science is beautiful and it's really important, of course, because when things go to an acute level, sometimes intervention by medical science is very, very important and it cannot be ignored. But when you start working at a prevention level, that is where this work comes into play. That is where the emotional, mental interventions come into way. And then you can live a holistic, healthy lifestyle without getting bogged down by these health issues like PCOS.
Yeah, and this also brings to me something very important, that we tend to think about the health issues when we are suffering or some near or dear one is suffering about it, and then we
Yeah.
go and study. अच्छा, मतलब किसी ने बोला PCOS है, then we'll go and study and all. But you don't have to do that. You can do at your own to increase your wellness, to improve your quality of life.
Yeah.
So this is not just restricted to PCOS, but yes, there are certain things which are very typical in PCOS which we need to cater to. Coming to the management part, so now we know basically what are the causes, and we need to break the emotional and symptoms cycle. So what are the treatments available? So if we go to see medically, the treatments are available are ovulation inducing agents, OC pills, then depending on the symptoms that they are presenting with, they are put on the hormonal treatment if needed. But you know what's the interesting point? Whoever I have interacted with, maybe the dermatologist or the other like gynecologist, they said that if we can focus on one thing, that is weight loss, and if the girl is encouraged to do at least 10% or even 10% of her body weight loss, that one thing can reverse so many other things. It can get hormones into line, and almost like it can get so many things around, because when you are exercising, it's a completely different as different topic, but endorphins are released and you feel good about yourself, and then again another there's a huge surge, so everything gets into line. So he one of my friends, he said that he does not start medical treatment initially if a woman comes for infertility to the gynecologist. They first focus on lifestyle changes. They first focus on weight reduction. They see how it goes for 1 month, 2 months, and he has seen that only that one thing can reverse so many things. Women who have not conceived can conceive directly 30 to 40% of infertility issues. So that one thing of weight loss can do so many other things. So there are so many other things. There is role of nutrition, what you're eating. There is role of sleep, what quality of sleep you're having. These all things come into play. Now, when we think about this weight loss, we all know what we are supposed to eat, what we are not supposed to eat. थोड़ा बहुत कम ज्यादा on an मतलब not exactly, but we know we are not supposed to have sugars, we know we are not supposed to have junk food, but we still do it. Why? I think that is where our role comes as a therapist, where there is an emotional bondage. So I think you can explain it much better, that what are the emotional causes of eating and what are the emotional causes of resisting exercise.
Yeah. So that is another very interesting thing that you've mentioned. So weight loss also, there are so many people, that I have been working with who want to do a lot of diet controls and exercises and so many other things, yet they don't get results, or there are relapses in a very short duration of time, and they're back to this whole cycle again and again. So what I have found is there is there are a lot of triggers and emotional eating linkages which formed at certain point of time. So when we start looking at even weight loss from this perspective, I have seen wonderful results, and people are able to lose weight. So like the motivation to exercise person itself. Why don't we have some people? That is because there are certain resistances within us. So, for example, every person has a very different reason for binge eating or having extreme hunger pangs and wanting to eat junk food, being attracted to certain foods. So, what really goes on is so we have a need to be loved, protected, feel safe, and cared for while growing up. So, many of these patterns start developing that if we felt unsafe in our environments, and somehow we linked food to that feeling of safety or that feeling of love, and it made us feel more calm, it made us feel more relaxed, and that is how this whole cycle starts, and it has been running on default for years and years, and we don't realize it. Like some of the clients that I worked with, I remember one client, so whenever there was any kind of invalidation done to her, when somebody would invalidate her, she would want to eat a lot.
Yeah.
And it would happen at very subtle levels, that invalidation. And she would be, drawn towards sweets,
Yeah.
and she cannot stop that. Then, some people have a tendency that whenever they're feeling anxious, it's like food gives us comfort because it, pushes down all the emotions. So that is why we go to food, because it's the easiest way to, don't, so that you don't have to feel your emotions. So that is such interesting work, that when you release those triggers, those linkages that you have made with food, that emotional eating, you automatically don't feel the attraction or the, attraction towards those foods. And you can comfortably replace them with healthy foods. You can easily exercise because you've removed that resistance that was stopping you from doing. And then the results are simply mind blowing.
This removing of resistance is so important because many a times, we are shown if you have the will, you can do it. If you have the desire, you can do it. And that's a very, target a targeted approach. Ki you have to do it. But, you have to listen to your body as well. What is your
Yeah.
body saying? Does your body need rest at that moment? What is it that the body wants?
I
And
think the
I
thing
think
that you
removing what?
Yeah, that the conscious mind, the will that you're saying, the conscious mind is just 10%. You keep beating against it, but the actual changes cannot happen at just the conscious level. It is the 90%, the unconscious, the subconscious level, where the changes actually happen, where your emotions are actually stored. And if we don't work at that level, we are just, going to and fro to every dietitian, every exercise, gym, everywhere.
Yeah. And understanding this is so important today because PCS cannot be treated unless that underlying lifestyle is treated, because it can recur if the underlying cause is not treated. Another thing, there are long-term sequel. So one of my friends, she mm, she's advocates for yoga. So she is like, that yoga is a very good practice because it brings you in the moment. So it is meditation and exercise, so everything. So she advocates a lot of yoga practice to to her patients, and she does a lot of counseling. And after that she goes through therapy. After that, if needed, they go to for medical treatment. So she said that, in order to sustain that, what you have created, because this is not something that you create for 2 months or 6 months. It is a lifestyle that should be sustainable, and in order to be sustainable, it is important to go to the root cause of it.
Yes, that's true.
And yeah, and another thing, what she mentioned interestingly was, if that root cause is not treated, they tend to recur. So they feel good for some time, and
Yeah.
then again, after a few days, they tend to fall back into those patterns. But if you are taught how to break that pattern yourself, you can do it on your own.
Yes, once you freeze that
And
emotional and mental pattern, then there is
yeah,
no need for this disease or health issue, any kind of health issue to reoccur in your body.
exactly. And another thing, what is most interesting is, they have also observed that uh, when when the lifestyle changes are done before, and when weight reduction is given a priority, there the span of medical treatment, so you might require medical treatment even after that. So this is not the only way. Maybe you might require, if needed, depending on the condition, depending on the severity. So if you require medical treatment, the span of treatment is reduced, the dosage is reduced.
Hmm.
So versus if you just go on medicine and you do not take care of other things, then the span of the medicine is increased, span of treatment, and the dosage is also increased. And of course, every medicine with dosage, with increased dosage, comes with increased adverse effects as well.
Hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
that, yeah, so understanding this is very important. So what she, one of my friend, she's dermatologist, she also counsels the relatives regarding PCOS, that, she needs emotional support. She needs your emotional support. So what does emotional support mean? And can you know, tell a little bit more about it, about what kind of emotional support is needed for women?
Mm. Emotional support is something that, because there have been so many feminine, attacks, or maybe feminine wounds that have been inflicted so long in women. So as a result of that, that support, that weakness has somehow become very inherent, and that does not allow us to actually be able to live and blossom fully. And so emotional support, I feel, first of all, comes from inside. First of all, when you start understanding yourself and honoring yourself, that I believe is, the most important step. And then, of course, when you have people around you and you explain these things to them, that how, everything has to work together. And,
Exactly.
women need to be supported and understood and given a space to actually experience and, then come out of those experiences, emotions. That is really, really important.
Exactly. So, and many a times the support can come from women as well. So, creating a supporting community is is a very important step as well. So, these things we have not thought about or we have not spoken about, but it is so important. For example, if the woman is working on her weight loss, she needs to eat certain kind of food. She needs to do certain kind of exercises, whatever she prefers. But you need to be that support so that she can do whatever she needs to do at that moment. So
Hmm.
that support is one kind of support. Another support is, yeah, another support is, I think, emotional support that we as women can create for each other.
Yes,
So there is
exactly.
something called as sisterhood, which we explore in our workshops. So
Yeah.
what is that sacred sisterhood, and how does that women connection help us to heal and blossom?
Yeah, it's so beautiful you talked about the sisterhood. So it's very strange that, women has somehow lost a connect with each other, even though men could maintain that connect. Like for example, when women get married, they tend to lose touch with their friends, and they get so involved with their partners, their families, that they don't have time for female bonding. While men have made a point that, they remain in touch, they take out time to, have spent some time with their friends, hang out, chill, and they don't lose connect. But women have somehow, lost that thing of being that support for each other, being that tool of empowering each other. So that is something which is very, very important, because when women who, if you see currently, women tend to pull each other down more than, like, put each other up. There's this thing of jealousy, and there's so much of all of these, and even our TV serials that depict all this, where all these
All
bands are always, against each other, pitted against each other, pulling each other down. So that is something which definitely needs to change, because women need to come together into a sisterhood, and when that happens, it creates such magical changes, because
yeah.
you add to each other's strength and you are there for each other's weaknesses.
Yeah, and there is a safe space for you to be what you are, to feel what you feel, and to release what needs to be released at that moment. So
Without any
creating
judgment.
that space. What?
Without any judgments, this space
Without any
is
judgment.
beautiful.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and
creating that. Yeah, you were saying something. I
yeah,
guess we both are so much in the flow. We want to share so many things regarding system.
yeah, and
Yes,
this safe space is something which we would love to, so share the surprise that we have for all the audiences. Uh,
yes,
the virtual retreat that we have created for women, which is called the Awakened Woman Retreat. So, this is a beautiful space that we're creating for women to come together, to connect with each other, and work on their inner selves and heal themselves at all levels: physical, emotional, mental, and astral.
yes, definitely. And I think these kind of retreats help us to get a holistic approach towards something that is PCS that is so common, so redundant, so there out there in the society, and so much needed. It is the need of the hour and need of the society that such spaces are created so that we can heal together as a collective. And
Yes.
as a collective, the space that is created as a collective, the energy that is created is way different than when you sit alone. So you know that you are not alone. You know there are so many people out there to be with you, and we all go together.
And everyone is going through similar struggles in life. And we're so alone and we feel I'm doing this alone. There's so many times, there's so much stigma of even sharing what you're going through with others. When you look at social media, everyone posts just the good things, but your
Yeah.
struggles you go through alone. So in such spaces, you realize you meet like-minded people where you can work together. And one of the most beautiful things about this workshop is that we will be working at very deep layers of emotional seated, emotions that are stored in our bodies. So we will be working through different layers of release work and forgiveness work. So ultimate forgiveness is something that is going to be a very important part of this workshop.
Yeah. So, can you share a little bit about forgiveness and layers of forgiveness? Because, there are forgiveness exercises. We write it down, we burn it off, and then again we do it, and that's it. But when we spoke that day, you told that there are layers to it. So, what
Yes.
is so maybe you can share something about it and Ho'oponopono that we are going to do in our workshop.
Yes. So we do a lot of release work through different techniques. Whether it is neuroplasticity, you tap takes, meridian tapping. So we'll be doing a lot of these things. But in my work, I have noticed that release of these emotions like hurt, rejection, anger, pain, guilt, resentment, it never fully happens till a ultimate forgiveness happens. So forgiveness has many layers. When you start forgiving, you might at first a superficial level be able to say, okay, I forgive you. But the ultimate forgiveness happens when you can imagine yourself hugging that person, wishing that person deep gratitude, love for whatever happened and how, whatever was the experience, it helped you grow in different ways. When you reach that stage where you can actually will wish well for the other person, that is when the forgiveness is complete. So we are going to work on all the layers of forgiveness. And one by one, when you start feeling, that is when, when these layers are removed, the flower can fully blossom. And that is our creativity, our feminine nature, our intuitive abilities. And when we tap into this feminine abilities, everything becomes so effortless and free flowing. All those, these concepts of struggle to be successful, competition, they start falling away. And you discover that there is another way to be successful. And that is the feminine way, a way of complete flow, ease, and grace. And then the effort that you need to put it becomes half of what you already had to. You don't need to work 18 hours. You don't need to push yourself. You don't need to miss out on certain things, create imbalances in your health. You don't need any of that. You can be successful, happy, create beautiful relationships by tapping into both the feminine and masculine.
Definitely. And of course, feminine does not mean that, you give away your power. If you are, having that caring nature, nurturing nature, that doesn't mean you give away that power. For example, when women have with PCOS have obesity, or even after delivery, there are certain lax tissues around the stomach area, and we start invalidating it. We start uh, thinking, this is not good. I'm not this. My body is not good enough. And when we do that, we give away our power. Because the stomach area is our power center. It is the solar plexus. And when we do these kind of work on ourselves, we get back our power. So it's
Absolutely.
not that you have to be very strict, but you can be loving, but still have your own boundaries. You still have your own say. You can speak out easily. You
Yes.
can ask for what you want easily.
Yeah. So, like, there's a difference between being aggressive and being assertive.
Yeah.
So that is when you embrace femininity. Assertiveness is something that, you get access to. That you don't, like I've seen in my corporate life, that women feel that they have to raise their voices. They need to
Yeah.
shout to be considered equal and, like senior manager women. But there is no need to do that. Just by being assertive, you can get the same amount of results or even better for that matter. And there are so many men I notice who are tapping into their feminine nature at very, senior levels. And that creates such beautiful teamwork and environment even in the corporate place.
So I think it is also about being sensitive to the other person's needs. So being sensitive at the same time being strong in your old power, being rooted in your power. So
Absolutely.
yeah, sensitive and strong. So that's a lovely combination. And if you want to experience it, and it is right now we are doing it for women. We have done it before. You have done those workshops before, and I have done some similar work before. But what emerges out of it is amazing. And if you can share something about it regarding yeah, your
So,
experiences.
so my work with women, awakening this divine feminine has been really, really very powerful. And so we do a lot of interesting things. We go inside our bodies, we connect with our bodies, we do things like belly dancing, which help you connect with your core, your abdomen. And for the first time you start engaging with your core. And so belly dance works at so many levels: the body image issues, the health issues, the pelvic strength, and clearing out any emotional charges. So women, there are so many taboos around even looking at yourself in a mirror wearing a belly dance attire. And for women, that is so liberating and empowering to embrace that.
So this reminds me of something. So one of my friends said, I don't like to meditate. I cannot sit in one place. But she is the one, she will draw paintings for hours and hours. So I said,
Mm.
you don't have to sit in one place. You can have fun and heal. Just to heal,
Yeah.
you don't have to sit and meditate all the time. You can do so many things. You can have fun. You
Yeah.
can dance around and heal yourself.
Yes, actually, these feminine workshops are so full of fun, you know,
Yeah.
healing and evolving and growing through a lot of fun, laughter, dancing, meditating, releasing, and coming together to, be there for each other. So
Yeah.
this is what this powerful workshop is going to be, and it's going to be filled with powerful tools like Yin Yoga, which we'll be introducing this coming Sunday in the Insta Live. We'll introduce you to Malvika Sood, who is a yoga expert and who will be part of this workshop. So we are creating a very holistic Awakened Woman virtual retreat, which will work at all levels, whether it's lifestyle, whether it's health, eating, everything.
And there are two sessions which are specifically dedicated to PCOS because it is not a topic that you can complete in half an hour. There is so much of detail in it. There are myths around it and so many things that need to be covered. So those will be covered in detail in that workshop.
Yes, that
Okay. So
sounds really exciting.
yes. So can you share the link in the comments and whoever wants to know more about it can visit the site
Yeah,
and
so,
link.
so in order to visit that link, you can go in my bio and there is a link. You can click on that and you will find the Awakened Woman workshop details. So you can, and also you can go to the Insta live videos in my profile and you will find a video which explains about this workshop, what are the tools that we'll be using, what issues we'll be working on. So you can also find it there.
Yeah. So it's a 2 weeks workshop which is starting on 30th Jan and ending on Valentine's Day,
Yes.
13th Feb. So you are ready with your power and in your self
Yes.
love.
And because the first Valentine is you, yourself, that is the most beautiful relationship, that love affair with yourself. And that's what we're going to be, empowering you to be.
Sure.
So thank you so much, Urmi, for being here and sharing this wonderful information. And I'm sure all our viewers have benefited so much from it. And thank you so much. And I hope to see you more when we talk about a lot more issues like body image and other things as well.
Sure. So it was a pleasure interacting, and these conversations should happen more and more so that the awareness is created more and more. And thank you so much for everything, for creating the workshop, for this live, and being the beautiful woman that you are.
Thank you, and same goes to you. Thank you for being this inspiring woman.
Sure.
Thanks a lot, and thank you
Okay.
everyone for joining in. Bye.
Thank you. If anybody has any questions, they can still take few questions.
Yes, sure. If anyone has any question, anything
You
you
can
wish to know,
post.
I don't think there are any questions.
No, I don't think so. I am not able to see the chats. Can you see the chats?
Yeah, I can see it. I don't see any questions.
Okay, great.
So wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye. Take care.